episode of Cooking with Keith. Today I'll be doing a classic Roman pasta dish called Spaghetti Carbonara, the authentic way that is rarely replicated outside of Rome. So we're going to show you how to do it the correct way and a very authentic way. The key to this dish, to making it high quality, is of course using high quality ingredients. The big ingredient that I would say that really sets an authentic Roman carbonara pasta dish is guanciale. It's a lovely guanciale from Salamaria Biellese in New York, and we'll be just trimming that down a little bit, and we're going to show you how to get started on this. It's actually just about a 15-minute dish, and then we'll be using high quality dry spaghetti, which is the normal pasta they would use in Rome, Pecorino Romano from Locatelli, and it's made in southern Italy, so near the Lazio region. And then we'll have some 3 organic eggs, and we're actually going to be using just the yolks today. So we'll be using 3 yolks along with 30 grams of the pecorino, and we'll save 10 grams just for garnishing at the end. And like I said, it's 4 ingredients, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then besides seasoning, that's it. So we'll have a little pepper at the end. We'll be putting pepper in the mix and at the end, and we'll just be seasoning our pasta water with salt, sea salt, about a teaspoon. So I'll get the salt in right now, and then we'll trim our guanciale. You may notice we're using a shallow pan. Many times you see a big pan, and the advice is to always use lots of water. But right now, for this recipe, we want to use a little bit of water, the bare minimum, to be able to keep a lot of the starch, because it helps to make the sauce in the end a lot creamier. So we're going to go ahead and trim this right on the edge. So we're trying to keep as much of the fat as possible, because that's where a lot of the flavor is. It's one of the key elements of making a great carbonara, is the fat that is slowly rendered from the guanciale. This is actually a very clean piece of guanciale. Sometimes it's heavily crusted with spice, and this is actually a very clean one. So we're not going to have to do much trimming. And then what we'll do here, I see a little bit more, it's oxidized right here. I'll take that off. And the reason I'm using guanciale is many people will use pancetta. Pancetta is much more widely available, and it's an okay substitute, but I really think if you're going to do this, you ought to spend the money. Our restaurant serves it at Valeria. This is at least 4 times more expensive, but you are getting a much better quality ingredient and more of an authentic flavor. This is definitely what you would find much more in Rome and the Lazio region of Italy. And so we're going to be cutting it into little batons right here. And for 1 serving, we're actually doing 1 serving to demonstrate the process today. So you need just a few ounces, so we'll do maybe 2 more. That's a good amount right there. That's about 2.5 ounces. So we'll get that in a cold pan. We're going to be doing today in a cold pan. We're started off from a cold pan, a steel pan, and we'll let it slowly render for about 10 to 12 minutes. And you'll see as it's going along, it'll render the fat. You definitely want to keep the fat. That's where all the flavor is, along with the meat. The meat will get crispy, kind of a crocante, kind of a crispy texture towards the end, and it'll be really delicious when it combines with the creamy pasta sauce. And again, I say creamy, but there's no cream. So the cream is going to consist of the egg mixture, along with the starchy water and the oil, the fat rendered from the guanciale. And now we'll go ahead and put our pasta in. This is 100 grams for 1 person. We already put our salt in, so we'll just monitor it for the first 30 seconds till it starts bending and getting softer. You'll want to be careful if you have a pan that's not quite wide enough that the spaghetti sticking out doesn't get hit by the flames, a little torched. So it didn't happen here, so we're lucky here. And we'll just turn it till it gets, so it's not sticking together, it's fully separating. And we'll just monitor every couple minutes. We'll come back and just stir it around, make sure it's doing okay. And now we'll do our eggs. Well, so basically on this one, we're just doing 3 egg yolks. 1, 2, and if a little bit of white gets in there, it's not the end of the world. Many people use whites, the whole egg, it's no big deal at all. So we're just going to use 3. And there we are. And I'm going to wash my hands. And now we're going to go back and move these pieces around. I'm going to make sure the flame is low. And we're just going to turn it around a little bit and let it get exposed to the heat, all the surfaces exposed. We'll go back to our pasta to make sure that it's not sticking in the corners. Well, if you could say corners, sticking on the edges of the pan. So this is just about a 9-minute spaghetti, so we'll take it out at about 8.5 or right at 9 and put it in our pan over here after we'll do a little trick today actually. We're going to take this out after it gets crispy, because I like personally to add it on towards the end so it doesn't get soggy. And that's just one of my little tricks that I do here at the restaurant, and people seem to really like it a lot. It stays nice and crispy while you're biting into it, instead of just putting it all in, mixed in with the egg and the pasta. And now for our egg mixture, we're going to put about 30 grams, I measured out 40 grams of grated Pecorino Romano. So we're going to use about 3/4 of it for this egg. Save a little bit for garnish at the very end. And we'll simply mix that around. We'll add a lot of ground pepper. I like to put it a little bit coarse. It is a peppery dish. It's got a lot of pepper traditionally, and it gives a little bit of a bite. You can see the consistency. It's kind of like a thick paste, and that's just what you want. That's perfect with the guanciale. And you can see here it's starting to render more and more fat, making a fond at the bottom, a little bit of a crustiness that will be absorbed into the pasta when we put it in. With the wetness that'll be clinging to the spaghetti, it'll actually absorb that. It's a nice flavor, and it'll actually add to the dish. So you can see it's getting nice and crispy now, which is what we want. And it's almost there actually. It's not taking that long, maybe 10 minutes total. And we'll be plating in just a few minutes now. And so here we are stirring our pasta again to making sure that it is not sticking at all and not sticking to each other. And one of the important things is to make sure you have enough water so that it doesn't evaporate away. We put enough in so that it won't do that, but you can see it is slowly evaporating away, but we have enough in here to complete the job. So I would say maybe at least 1.5 inches of water to start, is just almost to the rim to start with, and then it'll evaporate down to around this level. One of the tricks I'm going to do actually is, now that the guanciale is nice and crispy, we're actually going to take it out, and I'll just save it over here. And we'll take it out so it stays crispy like I was talking about before. And now we have this oil ready to use for the spaghetti as soon as the spaghetti is al dente. And I turned off the pan earlier so that it's not smoking hot, so it's just a nice hot oil right now. So you don't want to keep the pan going while you're waiting for the spaghetti. And so again, we're making the traditional Roman style. So this is going to be, as I mentioned, just these 4 ingredients. There's a lot of different styles out there, from France to the UK to the United States, and I guess all over the world, where they put cream or creme fraiche and bacon, pancetta, peas, all sorts of things. But that usually kind of gets the Romans to turn up their nose. They're just a little more used to this traditional style, and so this is why we're showing this today. The pancetta is a decent substitute for guanciale, but again, there's nothing like the real thing. So if you can get the guanciale, I would highly recommend it. It just makes a much better dish. And so now we're getting to the point where we want to test our spaghetti and see if it's al dente. We want just a little bit of a give to it, a little bite to it. That's just perfect. Another thing you don't want to do is add any salt. The salt, we only added a little bit, a teaspoon to the spaghetti water. And because the pecorino is high in salt, and the guanciale does have salt in the curing, you really don't ever need any salt additional. So we're going to go ahead and get this. I'm going to turn this heat on just on very low, and when I add this, and I'm going to finish basically any cooking in the pan right now. We're going to transfer now we're not transferring the water, because the water is, whatever water is clinging to this is what goes in. So we're going to turn it around in that oil. We'll turn this off, and we'll simply turn it around. You can see it's getting glistening, and that's a good thing. You want it absorbing the fat. And you don't need to do it. I'm already going to turn the fire off again. We just want it nice and hot so that it actually cooks the eggs. We'll fold this right into the bowl of eggs while it's hot. And we'll simply stir it around. Then we'll do a little bit of a slapping action, move it back and forth. And you can hear it. It's getting, there's that little slap sound. And it's nice and creamy and not liquidy. You don't really want it to be runny and liquidy. But now we'll get it to where we'll be plating it. And we'll use our tweezers to kind of get it into a nest. And we'll slide it over into the bowl. Lift up carefully. And then we will scrape the rest of any sauce over the top. The aroma is delicious on this. And then we will simply place our guanciale around, over and around. And lastly, the rest of our Pecorino Romano. And fresh ground pepper to top it off. And now we'll do the taste test. See how we did. Let's twirl it around. Get a little bit of that guanciale. A1, spectacular. Really nice. So you have this rich, creamy notes from the egg yolks, along with the al dente spaghetti. I think it's really important you don't overcook the spaghetti. You don't want it too hard, you don't want it too soft, so the al dente, if you can practice that and getting it nice and just a little chewy, it goes really well with this egg sauce. Really, in that guanciale is just delicious with it. I think if you paired this with, you could pair it with a light red wine from Italy, or you could pair it with a nice crisp white wine would go well too. So let us know what your favorite style of pasta is, and we'd love to do a video on it if you can let us know in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. We always like subscribers, and we'd love to hear from you. And there you have it, spaghetti carbonara Roman style. Buon appetito.